It is the BS Wrestling Report. My name is Bryon, and with me, as always, yo, what's going on? It's the BS Wrestling Report coming at you live in living color, 9 p.m. Thursday night. Just hanging out in the basement, getting ready to talk a little pro wrestling. So topics of tonight is we're gonna hammer on CM Punk. We're gonna talk about him entering the world of mixed martial arts. We're also going to talk a little bit about just wrestling in general, the pay-per-view coming up, all that fun stuff leading up to it. Over the weekend, we sat down with Eric Bischoff, the man, Eazy-E, Eric Bischoff. He was on here with us, chilling, just talking about his businesses, his time in pro wrestling. It was a second part to our interview with Eric Bischoff. That's always a lot of fun there, talking with Eric Bischoff, legend, if you will, wrestling royalty in that name, Bischoff. So, he took on Vince McMahon, damn near took him down. Can't be mad at that. Sitting with me tonight is Matt Beaver. He has stepped away from his microphone for just a second so he can go grab himself a few beverages. Pop those tops. And Steve has bailed on us tonight. I don't know what he's got going on. Said he's working, but I don't know if I believe him. So anyways, first things first. We'll just run through the plugs real quick. Oh, Matt's back.
Did you say Steve bailed on you? On us?
Yeah. On us. He's gone. I don't know what happened.
What's he got going on?
Says he's working late. I don't know if I buy it. I don't know.
All right. I mean, working late. I mean, there's a lot of things that entail work. You know what I mean? I mean, there could be some ladies or some Xbox. You know what I mean? I mean, that's all work when you think about it.
Well, his ADD kicks in pretty strong when he's when there's an Xbox in the room. If he can see one, I must play it.
Yeah, usually whenever there's a Xbox in the room, for some reason his mind goes full retard.
Full retard, and that's, I believe, an exact quote. Full retard.
Yeah, that's right.
Wonder why you can't think when you're playing Xbox, you dumbass.
What games does he play on the Xbox? What games? Now let me ask you this: what games would drive a man to be completely distracted when you're interviewing Eric freaking Bischoff? Like, what games are there out there? I know I'm a big fan of like Red Dead Redemption or some Madden or whatever. Maybe he copped that new WWE 2K15 and he was just
hooked.
Just too much for him. Yeah.
He was in general manager mode, and it made him think Eric Bischoff, and he just couldn't handle himself. He was just so tickled pink. Him and his ginger hair were tickled pink.
Wrestling as the Surfer Sting.
Oh yeah, Jesus. Shit. No, I can't think. Stop doing something else. Idea. Holy shit. Well, enough about Steve. That could be this could be a 4-part episode. We had Thursday night. What do we got? NXT on TV. We had
NXT.
Yeah, that's kind of going live at the moment. I think if anybody's tuning in at the moment.
Yeah, I was about to say viewership for the live show right now as we're going on will probably be down a little bit because it seems to be the big thing. We had the Kevin Owens. We had Hideo Itami.
Have you read why they changed? Went with the name change from?
No.
Kevin Steen, Kevin Owens. We all knew him as Kevin Steen. It was a big deal that Kevin Steen signed. Everybody knew. Now they're like, I'm Kevin Owens. I don't get that shit.
No, I haven't paid attention to why they name changed it. Because they did it with the 3. Because they had 3 massive signings in NXT, all basically within a month period. Kevin Steen was being one of them, and then they had the 2 other guys, the Prince Devitt and the Oh God, I can't think of his name, but his name now is Hideo Itami, and then Prince Devitt is Finn Balor or Finn Balor or whatever the hell you want to call him.
Yeah.
But all three of them, they completely changed their names. I think it's more of like a marketing signing. Like it's their name, it's the WWE's name. They
Because
can't.
they
Yeah,
fucked up with CM Punk. And
yeah,
we'll dive into that a little later. They fucked up with Punk and said, "Oh no, yeah, use your name you used in the Indies, and pretty much, and then when you walk away, it'll still be yours."
yeah. And what I find is weird is so CM Punk was his name, but some like people that came in kind of around the same time. Was Daniel Bryan was Bryan Danielson, but they
Yeah,
changed his name.
I don't
So I
know.
don't.
And
Yeah, I
CM
don't know.
Punk probably seems more like a, you know, let's just call him an ass, and he's gonna stick by his guns of what he wants. This is what I am. This is where I'm at. Daniel Bryan may have been like, write me that check, and I call me whatever the fuck you want to call me.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Totally.
Yeah. So those are some of the topics there. But did you get
Yeah,
to
but
see Kevin Steen or Kevin Owens or Owen Hart or whatever his name is?
I actually watched the Kevin Owen Hart match. He he opened up NXT, and I think that was a good move on NXT's part. I really thought that his debut, he was going to come in and just do a stare down or something like that, and then
Yeah.
there it is. There's your guy. Everybody that the IWC is jizzing over, Kevin Owens. There he is. But he came out straight up, had a match, broke his nose in the opening match. CJ Mosley had a little face palm kind of thing and hit his nose, and then he started bleeding everywhere. And it was actually pretty entertaining. I'm not a big fan of the Indies. I'm not a big fan of what ROH is doing or New Japan is doing or Combat Zone Wrestling is doing or anything like that. But it was actually impressive. The dude's a fat guy. He's a big
He can
boy,
actually trim down, right?
and he can go. He went the entire match. It was probably maybe like a 7 or 8 minute match. Uh, and he went full speed the entire time. So I mean, props to him because his adrenaline probably had to been going the
Oh
entire
yeah.
time anyway. You know
I
what I
mean,
mean?
he's
So
probably been in. I mean, the crowd wasn't as. I'm sure he's been around the scene for a little bit. So an NXT crowd probably still wasn't the biggest, but he's still on. He's not that's the crowd that he's in front of, but those cameras and the people tuning in on the network and everything. And this is his one. This is the spotlights on him at this moment. So whether how big the crowd is, it's right in front of you or not. Yeah, I'm sure his heart was in his throat there.
yeah, absolutely. And moving on from that, we also had, as I mentioned before, the pre-mentioned the Hideo Itami and Finn Balor. I think it's pronounced Balor. There's a little accent across the A, which makes me believe it's not, a short vowel sound. It's a long vowel sound. So I believe it's Balor. But I didn't watch that one. But my Twitter broke.
Your Twitter
Uh,
broke.
Yeah, and I'm talking about we're doing this live right now. This was literally 20 minutes ago, and my Twitter broke, and I couldn't tweet anything out, and I couldn't get any notifications, because I guess Hideo Itami came out in some gear that looked like. Now I didn't see this, so I'm just speculating from what I've read.
Purely
Came out,
speculate.
yeah, came out in some gear that looked like Scorpion from Mortal Kombat almost, and I guess like he has like
Get
a little.
over here.
Yeah, he has a little gimmick that he used to use in New Japan, where Cobra Kai was like a thing or something. And then Finn Balor. Have you seen Prince Devitt's face paint when he comes out to wrestle when he was going through the Indies and stuff?
No, my indie knowledge is pretty minimal.
I want you to look up. I want you to Google sometime Prince Devitt face paint, because it is the absolute most remarkable thing I've ever seen in my life. And when they were using him in NXT, they weren't using the face paint, but he came out tonight with the face paint. And it's not just the face; it's like face. shoulders, half of his torso, paint, and he usually looks like some sort of like a reptilian kind of deal where the mouth is his collar, like the bottom jaw is his collarbone, and the top.
Oh,
You have to see it. It's so hard to explain, but I guess his entrance was out of this world, and that's when
yeah,
Twitter
it kind of
broke.
looks
So
like the. I've seen the people doing that for Halloween with like the Venom. But that's kind of the idea. I'm looking them up right here on the old Google machine
yeah,
here.
yeah, Venom. That's a good description.
Yeah.
He's probably a knockoff of Venom. Go ahead. All right, let's bury him now. Ah, you got that from Venom. Yeah, yeah, that's a good one right there. He came out almost looking like that. It was a little bit different, but yeah, it was like that. And the IWC went crazy because that's how he did in the Indies, and WWE wasn't letting him do that, but finally
Let
they
him
let him
blow
do
up.
that. So yeah, it's still going on right now, and we have Charlotte and Sasha
Yeah,
Banks
he does like
going on right now,
a
and
Spider-Man one, a Punisher looking one. Huh.
oh, he has a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, this guy's got a whole thing going on here. That's a lot of money in paint there for being on the indie scene.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Interesting. Well, I was just looking at Twitter and seeing that Triple H had tweeted out several things about leading up to this, and he tweets out Kevin Owens historic. That was one of the comments there. I just thought I don't know if it's historic, but it's pretty big, right? But I don't know. Historic is it's
One of the
huge.
problems I have with this whole build-up is they've built this thing, and Triple H included, to be more massive than. Now I have watched Kevin Steen in Ring of Honor. I don't think that he's that great. I think that he's a
You
like
think
his
it's You think it's like the guy's guy thing that he's got going on? He's just like fight Steen fight, or now it's fight Owens fight, like as a his shirts and his Twitter handle, and it's just like he looks blue collar. He looks like a guy that was also just doing your mom's driveway 2 weeks ago, and but then you fuck you up at the bar if you fucking talk shit. So I don't.
I think that that's exactly what we have going on, with Kevin Owens or Kevin Steen, or I don't know what to call him anymore, but I think that that's exactly what we have going on. He's the normal, typical guy, and we saw that
He's not.
succeed.
He's not cut from head to toe, so he doesn't have abs that start at his neck and end at his knees. He's just got a beard and a pudgy face, and but he get out there and fuck you up.
And he's even fatter than what he even is on TV. He wears one of those Insta Slim tank tops to try to like hide his
Where's
gut. I
Bank?
mean, he but anyway, going back to what I was saying, I've watched him. I made it a point to watch his matches because I remember last year him being so big, and him, just that was the talk of the IWC, was Kevin Steen this, Kevin Steen that, before WWE signed him this past summer. And I made it a point to go back and watch through all of his matches, and he's different. I'll say that, and again, going back to the look, this fat guy with a crew cut, and he's your typical blue collar. People can identify with him. He does high flying moves. That's his shtick. Being 280 pounds or whatever he is.
As a big dude flying around, giving that Bam Bam
But
Bigelow something out there.
yeah, that's you know what? I'm glad you mentioned that. That's actually a perfect comparison for him. Bam Bam Bigelow, and I'm not thoroughly myself. I'm not impressed really with him. I think he's reckless. I think he's reckless in the ring, and we all know with WWE's track history, they don't like people that are reckless. Dolph Ziggler, for example. Dolph Ziggler is reckless in the ring. He takes some massive bumps. He does some moves that not the yeah, not the typical WWE superstar and what they're looking for does. I think that he's a little bit reckless. He broke his nose tonight. Maybe that's not his fault. Maybe that's CJ, whatever the fuck that guy hippie name is. Um, but if he continues on this path and what we saw tonight, I mean, WWE's not going to push him. He's doing somersault flips and all this other stuff, and pick up power bombs, and I mean that's not what WWE wants. And this is coming from a mindset from me being in, what is best for WWE. So
Yeah,
I like the guy. I was very impressed with him. I liked what I saw. It was very, upbeat action for 7 or 8 minutes. I don't see it going far if that's all he has to offer. I'd like to see a little bit more technical stuff from him.
yeah. I think the biggest part, from what I understand of him, that I was able to follow through the Indies and, or through the Ring of Honor and all that jazz that he did, seemed like his character was more of who he was than his in ring stuff. So just meaning that he was just known more for his mic and yelling and being angry, and then just taking it to the ring as a fight, and then coming out and being, just being the guy, just being that fight guy is what it was. So kind of bringing that little bit of a, trying to bring maybe that MMA mixed martial arts feel to the fights of wrestling, of pro wrestling, where it seems as of late, right? Look at this tie-in. You watch this. Watch how professional I am. Where it seems as of the tie-in of maybe the UFC is now bringing in that feel of professional wrestling to their company and their product. But this is
Okay,
one of Kevin Steen. But
before
here's
we get
Kevin
on
Steen right here, though. But look, he's with
with Triple A. Okay, see,
given
yeah,
given the Wolfpack. I mean, that's that's royalty right there. That's, you just can't go around throwing up gang signs. You get shot for that shit in the wrong neighborhood.
absolutely. Yeah, but before we segue into the MMA thing,
Yeah.
with CM Punk, I also saw today that Bellator, which is an MMA promotion,
Like an offshoot one of those.
offered Alberto Del Rio a contract today.
Really? Now, do these guys know they get really hit in those rings?
I don't see. Here's the thing with Alberto Del Rio, and including
Oh, oh, Matt.
yeah,
Oh, there you go. You kind of broke up for a second.
the thing with Alberto Del Rio and even with CM Punk, kayfabe says that they're like black belts in Muay Thai and
I don't.
judo and all
I don't
this
know
other
about.
stuff.
I don't know about Del Rio, but I can. I don't. I guess I don't know for fact about Punk either, to be honest with you. But I do know, or from what I can see in the ring, Punk can. He can move. He can throw kicks, and he can whatever. So I mean, all you got to do is just not pull it at the end. I don't know about Del Rio, but at least Punk had the somewhat of the style in the ring of that style of mixed martial arts, if you will, kind of rolling around and twisting people up and throwing kicks. He could, I mean, he could throw those feet around that were pretty crazy.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I mean, me coming from with my training background with MMA, there's a lot of discrepancies that I see with Punk. Punk claims to be a Muay Thai trained background. By the way, if you Google or try to look up any type of Muay Thai, CM Punk, anything, you can't find anything at all.
Really?
So I really don't know if that was kayfabe or if he legit went into Muay Thai and got some belts in there and then went into professional wrestling. I don't know if one or the other is the case. Uh, the same with Alberto Del Rio. Alberto Del Rio, they claim to be this great MMA fighter, and why? Because his finishing move was an armbar. It was that armbar where he was laying on his back. That's not much of an MMA move. The
Well,
and this
shit.
goes
Why don't they bring the Undertaker in there? He's finishing people off with a modified triangle choke.
right, and you know what, and that's more of an MMA move than I've seen anybody use. Roman Reigns. I had this conversation about Roman Reigns when Roman Reigns started going off on his own, and everybody knows that I dislike. I won't say hate. I dislike Roman Reigns as far as everything that he presents to the table, and but his Superman punch, like a Superman punch, is an MMA move. But his Superman punch is so not MMA. Like it's
Yeah.
just a show. It's just a show
Yeah.
punch. Like, oh, I'm gonna jump in the air and just cock my fist all the way back and swing it around like a hook. And that's not the way he performs. It is not does not translate. So yes, I have my doubts as far as some of these guys that are now moving. Bobby Lashley's another one, and we never talk about TNA, on the BS Wrestling Report. But Bobby Lashley is another one, fighting in Bellator, and he's 2-0 now. He's had 2 fights and hasn't lost. I honestly truly believe that his opponents have laid down for him, but that's another story for another time.
Think they laid down? I think they just put him in weak matches, just put him up against real green guys. I mean, at the end of the
Yeah,
day, Bobby
absolutely.
Lashley's still a monster. Like if he connects with, I don't care who you are, like right, if he can connect, he's gonna fuck you up. Like, but first they got to get a hold of you.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talk about him being a monster and if he connects and uh, I look at Batista and now I know Batista was up there in age, but he left the WWE to pursue an MMA career and he did not end up doing anything with that. Now Batista, same suit as Bobby Lashley is. I mean, he's just
Yeah,
an absolute monster and
I wouldn't
and a
want to face him again.
beast. And I think when Batista was fighting in these independent or local MMA arenas or MMA promotions, I think that he didn't have that where somebody's just going to lay down because it'll draw TV ratings. I think with Bobby Lashley, because you had him in TNA or Impact Wrestling or uh, the same, anyway, it was the same channel as Bellator,
Yeah,
and it was an inter promotion, it was a cross
that was
promotion,
all.
and he was the TNA heavyweight champion at the time. Uh,
That was just all marketing.
yeah, so I think they put him up against these just weak guys. I've watched his first fight, and his first fight was just god awful. I mean, or not his actual fight. I'm talking about his opponent. His opponent was just like he's never fought in a cage before. Was his
Just grabbed
opponent?
the janitor and said, "Hey, go hop in the ring here. Take a few licks from this guy." I think that the world of MMA, what I think is missing from MMA, uh, and this is probably because I'm a professional wrestling fan, is the story of why the guys are fighting. Now, I like watching MMA, and every MMA fight that I've been drawn into has been a story that's drawn into it. So whether it was Tito and Ken Shamrock over the years of the 100 fights that they have, and Tito flipping off the Lion's Den and doing the fake, burying Ken Shamrock, or the stuff from the Ultimate Fighter where they have the two opposing guys and it creates that little bit of drama back and forth building up to the pay-per-view. All that stuff that draws me in, and but when they just when they're just like this guy versus that guy, why am I watching this?
Yeah, they had a couple of those in the UFC with Brock Lesnar and Frank Mir. I mean, they those two and you look at back at UFC 100. UFC 100 broke. We talked to Ken Shamrock. What was it, like 3 months ago or whatever? UFC 100 broke Ken Shamrock's record for highest buy rate for a pay-per-view. Going back to what you were just saying, especially with Tito Ortiz, Bellator again being on the same on Spike TV, which was where TNA was. They're not anymore. They're going over to some I don't
They're on
know
like
where
the
they're
cooking
going, but
channel or something now, aren't they?
so yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, right after Rachel Ray,
Yeah.
um, and and
It's the former
uh,
Barefoot Contessa.
but they're their last fight that they uh, had Tito Ortiz and Stephan Bonner, the American Psycho, and the special event before that, they hold on a second. You talk for a minute.
Matt's got a barking dog or a tweeting bird or something going on back there he's got to take care of. But yeah, so professional wrestling, MMA, the crossover between them, what I think is just what's missing in both is what each one has. So I think what's missing in TNA, in fucking MMA, is the story, the reason why I'm watching this, the investment, the time, the energy. I need more than just to know that my $60 is going towards uh, a fight. I need to know what I'm paying for before I pay for it. I need to know the guys. I need to know their inner workings, their mindset, why they hate this guy. I need to have a reason. They have to fight. And if the reason is just to get to the title, that's the reason. They don't have to hate each other. It doesn't have to be some intention in your face drama, but it does have to be a reason. And I need a story. And I need them to tell me this, and it needs to be in my face. I don't have to. I don't want to look for it. I don't want to have to find it. So it needs to be in my face. Whether it was social media, get them out there on a YouTube, creating interviews and training things, or I don't know what they need to do, but it needs to be out there. They need to get something maybe on a primetime spot, and so yeah, hook it up with that. And then I think also what's missing in professional wrestling is the crossover of MMA and what they have, and what they have is action. Action. When you get two guys in the ring that are explosive and dynamite, they're laying it down and they're beating each other's asses. They're just straight up fighting, and they're not fighting to win. I mean, I guess that's the end of the day. Is what you want to do to win, right? But they're not necessarily just fighting to win. What they're doing is they're fighting to survive. You don't survive, you're going to get hit. You get hit, you're going to lose. So you got to keep fighting so you don't get hit. It's just it's like warrior mentality. So you know that's where it's at. They have to give that energy, and I think that's what pro wrestling's missing is a little bit of that MMA mixture of fast knockouts, fast fights. Everything doesn't have to be a 20-minute, Broadway of hour-long match, Iron Man matches. I think wrestling can take on the mix. I think wrestling can take from MMA, and MMA can take from wrestling. MMA needs a story. Wrestling needs the action that MMA offers in the ring. So I think those are the two crossover points of where those two are going to come together. So hopefully we can get a little mixture of both of them. I don't know. Did you hear my little rant there on that, Matt?
Yes, I actually did. I did. And going to that point to using that to finish my point of what I was getting ready to say, Bellator has kind of crossed over into that. I was talking about they usually have one show a month, and 2 months ago they had Tito Ortiz and Stephan Bonner, the American Psycho, face off. Two UFC Hall of Famers. They faced off in the middle of the ring, and then all of a sudden, or the middle of the cage. My bad. And then all of a sudden, they started going into like these storylines, which I really, really, truly believe were completely fake. Like completely just made up. And Stephan Bonner brought a masked guy to the ring or to the cage and was like, you know this guy very well, but he's on my team now and he's going to train me and help me beat you. And then they unmasked him and it was like Tito Ortiz's old trainer, and then he started talking. He was like, you treated me wrong and you did me wrong. And
pretty
then
bad, huh?
Yeah, they were talking about, they brought up like, the whole Tito Ortiz, Jenna Jameson domestic violence thing. Like they were just and then they got into a shoving match, and I'm like, this is wrestling. Like this isn't Bellator. This isn't MMA. This is wrestling. We're doing a promo right now.
Yeah.
So I really truly believe that Bellator is trying to dabble into that a little bit, where they're trying to create these storylines. Because I tell you what, I watched that next Bellator when Ortiz
they sold you on a product, right? And like I was saying, they don't need to necessarily have to be. It doesn't have to be cheesy. It doesn't have to be I hate you. It doesn't have to be this whole thing. If the reason that they're talking about fighting each other is just so that they can get to the next match to get to a title, get past you to get to him to get a title, that's fine. But it just has to be sold to me before I'll buy the product. So you have to sell me that match before I'm going to give you $60 of my money to watch your pay-per-view, unless you come up with a $9.99 subscription to the UFC 24/7 and then all your paper
right.
free included with that.
So how will I possibly be able to sell you on watching Phil Brooks's first UFC match?
Well, see, and this is the point that I was going to go with here is yeah, I think they already did. They brought me in. Like, see,
it was perfect timing.
they're gonna bring over these people. Like I was, they're gonna bring over these guys. They're gonna bring over all the WWE, not all the WWE fans, but they're gonna get a big flock of them. They're gonna buy that first pay per view just for that.
Yeah.
That's that's just period bottom line, and it's gonna
Well,
be.
do we even know he's going to be on a pay-per-view?
Well, I just assume because that's all they do. They don't have like a weekly TV show like Monday Night Raw or something where they
Well, they
have.
have like their fight nights also on Fox Sports 1
Okay.
and
Well, I mean, they're gonna whatever he's on is gonna be if it's on Fox or Fox Sports One, because I know they do those free ones every now and then now, and whatever it is, their first event is gonna be huge ratings, whether it's a buy rate or just straight up ratings. It's gonna be huge just because they're gonna. Why? I mean, every CM Punk fan and every wrestling fan is gonna want to see if this dude can hang.
they're going to put him up against a Joe Schmo. That's exactly what they're going to do. They're
Well,
going to
yeah. Why would you? You want them to watch the next one too.
Yeah, they signed him to a multi-fight contract. I mean, they're going to set him up for victory in order to sell the pay-per-view after that and then the pay-per-view
Yeah.
after that.
I'm not gonna lie, it's why I tuned into the first few Brock Lesnar matches. It was Brock Lesnar for the love of shit. Like I went, this guy was a monster in the WWE. He did a moonsault, landed on his head, and finished a match. All right, I'll watch him punch somebody in the head.
Right, right.
What the
Didn't
hell?
he? Wasn't that the one where he fought the guy from Texas and he like bum rushed him across the cage? Like they rang the bell and he just like full on
And he just
sprinted towards
freaked
the other
out. Yeah.
guy.
And then he kind of came into his own, and then he won the title, and then he went up against a real fighter and lost.
See, I think that they're just two different monsters. I think that Brock Lesnar is not comparable to CM Punk. I think you can do a lot of contrasting with those two. I again, like I said, I don't ever remember Punk ever having a background. In any kind of MMA, Brock Lesnar had his wrestling background, and wrestling, especially with the heavyweights, is a huge advantage when it goes
Yeah,
to stepping inside the ring. So Brock Lesnar already had that background, three-time
correct.
NCAA champion at Minnesota. But CM Punk dropped out of high school, as far as I know. I remember reading an Maxim magazine like 4 years ago. I remember reading an article that was solely based on CM Punk, and the dude, from what I understand, he had a red mohawk. Green Day and the Ramones were his favorite band, and
Oh yeah.
dropped out of
Did you
high
ever watch? Did you
school.
ever watch his documentary?
I haven't.
Oh yeah. I mean, they pretty much get into all that. Yeah, he was just straight up punk rock, trained himself wrestling in the backyard, and decided to go, really learn his craft and got into some indie promotions and, started doing the damn thing. But yeah, no, he was just pretty much wild child, didn't get along with his parents, lived at friends' houses, did the whole thing, and
And I can understand, and I can understand that a lot of MMA fighters that have been popular have had a rough upbringing and have kind of been like the anti-social or the anti-conformist or what have you. The problem that I have with Punk is if he thinks that his kayfabe Muay Thai that he had in the WWE is going to be what gets him by in the UFC, he's completely wrong, because even the leg kicks, and you were talking about he uses his
yeah,
legs all the time, uses leg kicks. You don't leg kick in the head or the torso. Like that was strictly for
right.
WWE. You leg kick in the thigh to wear down the muscles in the thigh so the person can't use their legs to power off
You
into
don't
a punch.
correct. You don't see many knockout leg kicks. Like you're not gonna throw a leg kick and knock.
Right, right. You don't
I
see very
understand
many of
that. But at least I mean, we at least know he can like handle it. It's not like we're gonna put Shawn Michaels into the MMA and have him like throw super kicks or something. Like can't really buy that. But at
You
least you
t-
can
you talk
somewhat
bad
buy a
you
super
talk bad
kick.
about Shawn Michaels one more time, I swear to God, I'm driving to Detroit.
But yeah, I think that. But what I think that CM Punk is gonna bring, and what all Dana White is looking for in Zuffa Entertainment or whatever it's called, all they're looking for is CM Punk. They're looking for cult of personality to music to hit.
Okay, so
They're
let's talk about the man. Let's talk about Phil. Let's talk about CM Punk.
uh,
Let's get off on a little tangent about, do you believe, now here's the thing. I just want to point this out because I want to talk about a little bit of hypocrisy here for a minute. So his problem, and I listened to Colt Cabana's 2 podcasts. There was one, and then Vince McMahon and Steve Austin did one, and then CM Punk did another one with Colt Cabana again. CM Punk won. First, he left WWE because the injuries were taking a toll on his body, and he wasn't getting the proper care for him.
And I can buy that.
Okay, yeah, I can buy that. So he had like a concussion that he claims that wasn't taken care of, which I don't believe. But he had a concussion that wasn't taken care of. He had some back problems, in which he was given Valpax or whatever the hell they're called, which I saw from a doctor was actually the right prescription. Like were they Valpax? Did you read the story? Were they Valpax? I don't want to keep saying it.
I didn't read the story. I missed that.
Or they're Zach packs or something like that. But his diagnosis and his prescription was correct, but he feels like it wasn't. Anyway, besides the point. So he left WWE because his body was being taking a toll. So you leave WWE, then you join what? A real fighting program where your body will take a toll, where people can only fight twice a year.
But see, now I think that is the exact sentence that you're gonna get him to agree upon of why he did it. That exact number you just threw out right there. 2 a year.
Okay, I can see that.
I still don't buy, because I don't think that 2 a year is going to be the same as 360 wrestling, predetermined, planned out, take care of the guy in the ring next to you matches. I think 2 is still not 360 of those.
Okay. All right. So there's a fair argument. Okay, and that is something that conversation can be had. The second problem that I had with the entire thing was he called out Vince McMahon on the second podcast, on Colt Cabana's second podcast. He called out Vince McMahon saying that entire Steve Austin, Vince McMahon debacle on the WWE network, it wasn't a debacle, it was actually a pretty good show, was a publicity stunt. Well, what the hell are you doing on Colt Cabana's podcast talking about you're going to be on the UFC, and then you join the UFC literally 2 days after that podcast airs?
Well, guess what? That's what the WWE is every Monday there, Philip. It's a publicity stunt. What do you think? They're there to shake hands and fucking kiss babies? They're there to make $1. Without publicity, without people knowing about the product, nobody's buying advertising space. USA Network's not buying the show. Nobody's getting paid, and Vince McMahon's bagging my groceries at Farmer Jack. So these are your options, and it's a publicity stunt is life, and you're in the entertainment business.
Is Farmer Jack a real store?
Oh, it's a grocery store here in Michigan, yeah.
Oh, okay, that's cool. All right, go.
I almost said Meyer. Would that have been better for you? You guys got Meyer down there, don't you?
Oh no, we totally have Meyer.
Oh, all right. We'll see. I didn't know where the boundaries of Meyer's end. I know it's a more of a local Midwest chain there. So, anyways, it's publicity. Whether you're in entertainment, you want to call it pro wrestling, you want to call it mixed martial arts. At the end of the day, it's entertainment. Because if I'm not entertained, I don't give you fucking $1. So you're entertaining me, you're selling me. So he can get off his high horse on that one. You got to be entertained.
So how do you think he's going to fare in his first fight? You think it'll be successful because they're going to put him against Joe Schmo, or do you think he's going to kind of embarrass himself?
They're going to put him against Joe Schmo, and he's not going to embarrass himself. He's going to get out there. He's going to fight his fight, and it'll be entertaining. The entrance will be the most entertaining point, because the music will hit. He'll come out with his hoodie on over his head, and he'll get into position, and he'll swipe the ground, and it's clobbering time. And you get in the ring, and he'll bounce around, and he'll go at it, and they'll go exchange blows. But it's going to be a rookie versus rookie match.
He doesn't come out to Cult of Personality, does he?
Oh, I hope so. What else is he going to come out to?
I don't know, something by Kill Switch Engage. Well, what weren't Kill Switch Engage the first song that he had?
Yeah, that one real intense song. You can understand what they're saying, but yeah. And the thing is I like CM Punk. I liked him as a wrestler because I liked his character. He was I enjoyed it. I know you weren't the biggest fan, but I enjoyed it, and I still kind of enjoyed. I enjoy that punk rock DIY attitude, and I enjoy it on anybody really. And he had that. He came in. He did what he wanted. What I still, we've mentioned it 10,000 times on here, is that he pouted. He took his ball and he went home, and that's enough to annoy anybody. But and then was all super quiet about it. So it's like, dude, if you're so punk rock, get on Twitter and just go on, just blast people. But he didn't. He played it corporate smart. He didn't say anything. He kept his paychecks and he moved on with life and was hoping they'd re-sign him again and keep paying him to sit at home. So
Two,
I don't know.
two things that I have to counter with that is one, CM Punk was with WWE for when did he come in? 2006, I
Something
believe.
5, 6, something like that.
2005, 2006, and he
Almost
had
10 years.
I remember a couple of different gimmicks that he had with the Straight Edge Society, where he kind of looked like Jesus, and a
He
couple.
called Joe. It wasn't Joey Mercury. It was Joseph Mercury, and it was Luke. Notice the biblical names that he was sticking with. He goes over that in his documentary. You should watch it.
So yeah, all
It's
right.
on it's on
Way
Netflix.
way to put me on the spot there, but.
Mm.
See, here's the thing. Okay, so here's the thing. We're doing this show with the main intention to shoot on CM Punk, and your CM Punk mark is still showing.
Well,
Even
yeah,
doing this show, your
yeah.
mark is still showing.
If
But
I'm still there. I still enjoy. I enjoyed what he did in wrestling. I enjoyed it, but I think he acted like a little brat for a moment, and maybe he can go in. Maybe he'll walk into the UFC and get his ass kicked, and maybe he won't be. Maybe they'll knock some sense into him. and won't be such a brat.
all right, but getting back to my point. Okay, so he was 2005, 2006. I mean, I remember him, but I don't remember him, and that's kind of that's the first problem that I have with CM Punk.
Correct.
CM
I'm with you too, and I didn't remember CM Punk until it was like, yeah, after the ECW thing when they brought him in that. I don't remember him really in there. I kind of remember him starting to pop up around on Raw here and there, and I was like, who's this guy with the Pepsi logo tattooed on his arm? And then it just moved on from there, and it slowly crept in, and then but then he started to do the thing with with not NXT, but what the hell was that group that he worked with?
Nexus.
Nexus. Did that stuff. So yeah,
Yeah, he
I'm
did
with
the
you.
stuff with Nexus, in which you can find half of those people flourished in Nexus, but that's another story. I think Daniel Bryan was a part of the original
Yeah,
Nexus,
he got fired because he
and he got
choked on his.
fired. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But my point being is nobody knew who he was until the pipe bomb, right?
That was like the defining moment. That was when people who hadn't picked up on him. That was when everybody picked up on him.
That's when everybody took notice, and part of that reason is because John Cena was in the ring. It was him, John Cena,
Yeah. John
and John
Cena's in the
Cena
ring.
was
He's got a Stone Cold shirt on for some reason. Things were weird. Nothing made sense.
nothing made sense at all, and then he dropped the pipe bomb, and then his mic got cut off, and then every single fan's just looking around like,
Did that
wait,
just happen?
was that real?
Yeah, were we
Like,
supposed to know that stuff?
yeah, and it took notice, and I kind of think that was a little bit of a reverberation for the WWE at that time period. That was 2011 is when that happened, and I remember like 2008, 2009, after some people started going away, the business kind of started going down on a tilt. Then that happened, and the business spiked.
Oh yeah.
Uh, but I stay true to the point that I'm trying to make is what happened the 5, 6, 7 years before that. Were anybody when he was with the Straight Edge Society, was anybody like, man, this guy's the best in the world? this
Yeah,
guy's it, because he had been wrestling for a long time in the Indies, and
correct.
especially in Ring of Honor. He
Yeah.
had put on some great matches with Bryan Danielson
Yep.
in Ring of Honor, and a lot of people knew him, but for the 6 years that he was before the pipe bomb when he was in WWE, I mean, does anybody really have any stories to tell about where they were when CM Punk did this?
I think the silence kind of explains it. And again, I'm a CM Punk mark, but in the DVD on the documentary, kind of touches on that. Now, what is allowed to be said on a WWE documentary and what isn't allowed to be said is to be discussed. This is they're not going to let their own product go to shit, and so he's not going to tell all the truths aren't going to come out. They still have some kayfabe in the business, and but he gets into that, and he just says that basically he kept getting denied as being the guy and allowed to make a mark at all and given any time to do anything. And I can kind of buy that. I mean, not necessarily using the term because it's thrown around by people a lot, but buried is where he was basically quoting that he was being buried in the company and pushed down the rungs and told that he wasn't the guy, and the only reason he got a half of a chance is from Paul Heyman bringing him up from the Ohio Valley Wrestling and getting him in and getting him a shot and all these things, and he just kept kind of slowly picking up his steam. So he wasn't able to be, he was almost like an independent wrestler uh, in a professional wrestling company. So that was the hard part, I think, is they weren't giving him the merchandising and the fans, not necessarily giving him fans, but giving him the opportunity to push the fans. So he had to pick them up slowly, one by one, punk rock style, sell them all a T-shirt and sign it outside the doors, and then he got his one shot to make his mark, and the pipe bomb is what that was his Nirvana Nevermind.
Okay, so I'll ask you this then, in giving the entire career of CM Punk to where he's at right now, and I know that he's in MMA now. I'm talking about back in January when he walked out.
Yep.
Given his entire career, pipe bomb, he had the 434 days as WWE champion. He had all this stuff. He was on top of the business. Where would you rank him all time? And I'm just talking about WWE only. I'm not talking about NWA, WCW, WWF. Where would you rank him all time as far as the top guys, Hulk Hogan's, Bret Hart, Stone Cold Steve Austin's, all that? Where do you have him?
I honestly would have to put him in top 10.
You would put him in top 10.
Huh?
You would put him in top 10.
I would. Top 10. Now, I don't know if he's in the top 5 because there's a lot of guys that did a lot more for wrestling and did for the WWE just in general. So you can talk about guys like Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, guys that really laid it out for the WWE. And when they got shit on, even guys like Triple H, like I just watched his documentary as well. When they got shit on and they got pushed to the bottom, or when things didn't go their way, they either just took a break, as Shawn Michaels, we've seen that a couple times, or they just licked their wounds. And like Triple H, he talks about in his documentary how he got the shit buried out of him and pushed back to the bottom when they did the New York thing. All four of them in the ring raising hands, Razor and Diesel and all that.
The Click.
When the Click did their thing, the curtain call. He talks about, Scott and Kevin were on their way out, so nobody's doing nothing to them for the remainder of their dates, so they're not getting in trouble. And he goes, and they're not going to touch Shawn because it's Shawn. And so he goes, I got in trouble for all of them, and I got completely pushed to the bottom and to reprove myself to the whole company. And basically said the only reason he got a shot to stay and didn't get fired from that situation is because he was part of the Clique and Shawn Michaels was his boy, so he got buried, but he had to start over again. So these guys did more for the company. So you put Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Bret Hart, everything that he went through and did and got screwed and whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to put Punk in there somewhere, though, but I don't think he's making top 5. He might be 8, 7, 8, somewhere in that range.
See, I don't even put him in my top 10. I
Well,
really don't.
you didn't like him anyways.
No, that is
Who I
absolutely
was,
not
they knew.
true.
Listen, that wasn't a hidden fact. Like, will Bryan put CM Punk in his top 10, and will Matt not? We'll find out next week. No, they
No,
knew.
no, come on. You got to give me a little bit of credit because I honestly had no idea. Because the way that I look at at greatest wrestlers of all time, I look at, national prominence of when what they did for the company. What kind of exposure did they get to pop culture, stuff like that. Also, in-ring talent, prowess, stuff like that. But no, I don't have Punk in the top 10, and I don't think it's even close. But I want to say this: the way that I judge the greatest wrestlers of all time might be different than other people's because I put Punk on the same pedestal, like the exact same level as Edge and Rey Mysterio. Like that's where I see Punk because Punk did nothing for pop culture. Punk didn't promote the brand into where you saw on Access Hollywood or late night talk shows like you see with John Cena doing
Well,
or
I don't know. When Punk first won that title, he was now for all 400 and something days, was he? No. But I remember him. He did the Jimmy Kimmel show. He was on there doing that stuff. He was, but he was also taking it to me. He took his title reign, and he kind of made it. I want to call it a classic title reign of a heel, meaning that he was a heel. He was a heel in the ring. He was a heel outside the ring. He was just a heel. He was a dick on Twitter. And that was his that kind of gimmick, and he stuck with that shtick. So I don't know if it's him, if that's him, or if it was a shtick, and he's really fucking good at it. But yeah, he took that title reign, and when he became that heel, he was that heel, and that was it. So I mean, not really the best face to have some guy go out there and just be a douche on your TV show if he's sticking with this heel gimmick. A heel's a heel.
okay, on the spot. On the spot. And to be fair, I haven't thought about this either. Top 10 all-time WWE. No, let's do all of wrestling. Let's do all of wrestling. Top
Oh.
10 all-time on the spot. Go.
Any particular order, or just the top 10 guys that come to my head.
No, I want you to try to go in order because that's what I'm gonna try to do. Because when you were just talking, that's what I was just thinking up in my head. Like, who would I put in my top 10 though, and in what order? So I want you to try to go in order, but in no particular order. We'll say for the record.
So I'll start. Flair comes into my head. So I have to put Flair. I'd put him in there just for what he did for everybody knows Ric Flair. Um,
I hate Ric Flair.
yeah, you're supposed to. I mean, but you're supposed to hate Ric Flair. You hate Ric Flair the man, or you hate Ric Flair the wrestler?
No, I hate Ric Flair the man. I've met him twice, and I hate him.
Oh, well, I think Ric Flair the man and the wrestler are pretty close to the same person.
I put
Uh,
him like 76th on my list. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm just thinking about. All right, so straight up guys here. So I'm gonna put. Fuck, I can't do this in order. I'm gonna put Flair. Undertaker's in there. Triple H is in there. Bret Hart. Shawn Michaels was at 6. I'm gonna throw Punk in there. I'm at 7. Hogan's in there. He's 8. Hogan's probably more towards the top. Macho Man 9. Uh, fuck, I don't know who the fuck would I can't even think of the next guy for the 10th spot. And this would probably be number 10 if I can't think of him that fast, huh?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm not giving you any hints though. I mean, just
You
name
think
just
Lanny
name first
Poffo?
guy. It's
I don't
okay.
know.
Okay, Lanny Poffo. All right, sounds good. All right, I'll try to do this. Like I said before, I hadn't thought of this before, so that's why I asked you on the spot. And so, I mean, I guess maybe I had like 2 minutes to
Yeah, you got an extra
to,
minute or so.
to prepare. Okay, so I go Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant.
Oh, Andre. Yeah, I sorry. Lanny Poffo was just my filler, but Andre, I gotta put Andre in there.
So Hulk Hogan, Andre, Stone Cold Steve Austin,
Fuck
uh,
yeah. I need more
Bruno.
spots than 10.
I know Bruno Sammartino. I put in there.
All
So
right, I mean, I get that.
so that's four. Okay, so what do I have? Hulk, Andre, Austin,
Bruno.
Sammartino. Okay. The Rock. See, The Rock's questionable because he didn't have longevity.
Did he
He
not
was
have? Well, at least he didn't give himself longevity.
no, he was only in there full time for about 4.5 years
Oh,
before
fuck.
he
See, now I want to put Hot Rod in there.
quit. See? Okay. All right, so I got five. I got five. All right. Um, what are we doing? Top 10. Okay, so Ric Flair. I'm gonna have to put Ric Flair in there solely based on what everybody else says.
I mean, people know who he is. Say Ric Flair to somebody.
Yeah, so everybody knows Ric Flair. So Ric Flair. Okay, so that's six. Do uh, Triple H,
Yeah. You got to.
Shawn Michaels.
Got to.
Um, I'm gonna do Macho Man as
Yeah.
nine and Randy Orton as
Really? You didn't
10.
put you didn't put Bret Hart in there at all, huh?
Did not put Bret Hart in there, and I actually had like a little tangent a couple months ago on Twitter talking about this. Bret Hart was a technical wrestler, and that's all he was. That's all he was a technical wrestler. Was he the best technical wrestler in the world? Yes, absolutely he was. But that's the entirety of his career. Was he was the greatest technical wrestler.
Yeah, I mean, basically, his one trick as a one-trick pony, his one trick was technical wrestling, similar to like the Ultimate Warrior, John Cena, with all they've got is flying shoulder blocks and body slams. But fuck,
You know what? Neither one of us said John Cena. Did you say John Cena? I didn't say John Cena.
I didn't. But as a whole, I mean,
I have to put John Cena in my
you
top
know
10.
what? And it's just because, like I said, I'm not the biggest John Cena fan. I don't buy it. I'm not an 8-year-old girl, but I get it, and what he does for the company. It depends on who you're looking at. If you're looking at it as a straight up fan, I don't put him anywhere in there. But as what he's done, business wise, he's done it.
Yeah. Yeah, John Cena's got to be in the top 10.
Single-handedly saved the WWE.
He's what, 13 years going now. 13
Yeah.
years,
I mean,
and
he
he's been.
single-handedly saved the WWE. We can agree upon that, right? Like he was the
Yeah.
one that from fucking just like going, well, we had a good run, fuck it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, that I mean, you got to put him in there because of that. So fuck tens. Then who do you get rid of, right?
Who do I get rid of? I don't know. Randy Orton was right there at that 10th spot. I've always debated with Randy Orton. I've always flip flopped with Randy Orton because he's right there with John Cena. He's been in WWE for 11 years. He was a champion before he even reached the 1 year anniversary. He's always been there at the top. I think that the resonation worldwide as far as pop culture hurts him. So I'll take Randy Orton out.
There you go. Well, there you go.
My
Top 10.
girlfriend, my girlfriend's in the bedroom right now, like cheering and booing whenever she hears Randy Orton.
Does she like Randy Orton?
Yeah, yeah. That's her hall pass.
That's her hall pass.
Yeah.
That's her. Sure. What the hell? If you got an opportunity, go for it. At least as a wrestling fan, you got that as like a trophy, right? You can be like, dude, my girlfriend, yeah, Randy Orton.
Absolutely. Hey, just an update on NXT. Just watched the end of it. Sami Zayn is your new NXT champion, only to be jumped by the heel turn of Kevin Owens. All right, I can see. I can see he's struggling. Yes, he debuted earlier. Everybody was cheering. Now everybody's booing because he jumped the new champion, Sami Zayn.
Well, that's weird.
No,
whatever. I guess it worked, right? I mean, if the crowd reacted, it worked. So fuck it.
Yeah, the only reason why they're doing this is because they have a history. They came up together through the
Yeah,
indies.
that's right.
Uh,
And he said that little promo thing. That promo thing they put together was good, though. Man, if the WWE can do anything right, it's they can put together those little vignette promo things that just make you want to go, ah, I want to watch it.
yeah,
You take my money.
absolutely. Yeah,
And you
and I
saw the
think
one I'm talking about him, right? Where he's in the ring. He's like, they
yeah,
called up I toured the world with Sami Zayn, and they called him first. And kind of like, so.
yeah, I think when they were together, I think Sami Zayn was El Generico. I don't know. See, you know what? I'm gonna get a lot of hate from Twitter for not knowing all this stuff. I think it
Whatever.
was El
Fucking,
Generico, and then Kevin Steen had like his own Spanish kind of like.
you know why you didn't know all this stuff? Because you just mentioned you had a girlfriend. So there's a reason why you don't. I have a wife and a kid upstairs. You got a girlfriend and your daughter hanging out in the same. We got fucking lives, people. We like to talk and we like to talk about wrestling, but jeez,
Yeah,
Jesus, give me a break.
yeah, I can't keep up with all those people that have called anybody a WWE mark because they don't watch Independence. Fuck you.
Yeah, jeez, man. First off, uh, if Independent was on TV, then it wouldn't be Independent, and then I wouldn't be then it wouldn't be cool anymore, right? So I can't go to the Independent show in Texas. It doesn't happen. I don't have the fucking budget to fly around the world to watch independent wrestling. Put it on my TV, send it to me on YouTube, and I'll watch it. I'm not, but my God, man.
All right, so bottom line, you think CM Punk is still great, and you think that he's gonna
Ah, don't
succeed
be
in the
putting words
UFC?
in my
No, come on, man.
he
Come
was
on.
great. I said I liked, and he was one of my favorites as of current wrestling status. I thought that with the current product we were handed and he could have been the guy over the course of the next many years, slowly taking on and picking up more and more responsibilities as the man. John Cena wasn't handed the keys to the city overnight. First he needed a key to unlock that chain link lock around his neck, his bike lock that he had around his neck, and then he got the keys to the city. So after he cleaned up his game and stopped wearing weird tights and started putting on jean shorts and pumps and took his necklace off and stopped rapping, Vince said, "Okay, now I'll let you make some money." So I think CM Punk had the chance to be the guy and to be the best, but he kept it punk rock and kept it what it was. So that's how I think of that. I don't know
Okay,
what
so
you
there's
guys think.
that. So the second thing that we got from this show was both of us think that The Undertaker is massively overrated.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, I
I think that
strongly. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say the reason that he is so praised is because he is the wrestler's wrestler. So the fans can love a wrestler's wrestler, which the wrestlers love him as a leader, as a guy in the back, which he does something right there. People believe his words gospel backstage, evidently. So
I mean, I think that that's true. I also think that people buy too much into the streak because what are we talking about at the end of the day, people? We're talking about a predetermined show.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and the WWE created the streak. It wasn't like the Undertaker was just a better person than
Well,
all.
fuck, I've never lost at WrestleMania either.
Right. So I
Where's
mean,
my?
this so that's my whole take on the Undertaker. And then the third thing, I don't know. What do you got? What do you got for the third thing?
Well,
Final thing
CM
to send us
CM
home.
Punk
What do you got?
CM Punk is going to be handed his first win in MMA. Uh, I found out that you don't really care for Bret Hart, and Ric Flair is like 76, but you put him in top 10 just because everybody says he's good.
That is absolutely true. Yes, Bret Hart, Ric Flair, that does nothing for me.
Now, real quick, is kind of off flashback here, but we were talking about the crossover. So we'd also said that MMA needs to get a little bit of pro wrestling in their product to sell it a little stronger to a mass. people, right? That they kind of sell to a bubble right now, and to expand that bubble, they're going to need things, and this is where a CM Punk and these things come in, MMA in general. Now, do you think the wrestling needs a little bit of MMA? Do you think they need to pull in knockouts, like quick knockouts, like 5 second matches and things like that, a little more often?
I don't know about as far as the knockouts. WWE, we can already see, is trying their hand with MMA and trying that crossover because look at who your WWE World Heavyweight Champion is. And when's the last time he defended his? But when's the last time? Not even defended. When's the last time we saw him on TV? It's been 3 months. I'll
Yeah,
go ahead and answer that for you right now.
which is
And
crazy, right?
it's absolutely crazy, especially in the modern day. Now, back a long time ago, back in the WWF days and mid 80s, that was more commonplace. That was more when all they had was Saturday night's main event as a national,
Yeah.
television show.
Hogan showed up at Saturday's main event. He showed up at the pay-per-views, and that was it.
And that was it. But we're talking about we have a weekly episodic television show that's going on, and we've never seen this in the history of Raw since 1994. We've never seen uh, a champion only show up periodically, and they started doing it a little bit with the early Raws, because the early Raws were only an hour show. It wasn't supposed to be a big thing. It was just supposed to be something to watch on Monday nights. But with there only being one belt, because they had the two belts for like 5 years or whatever, with there only being one belt and we're not seeing a champion, I think that goes to show, especially with the background and it being Brock Lesnar, that WWE is trying their hand a little bit in the MMA, because UFC buyout rates blow everybody out of the water, and most attribute that to the fact that you only see your big name stars twice a year. And we were talking about that earlier. Twice a year. You only saw Anderson Silva twice a year. You only saw Brock Lesnar twice a year. You only saw George St. Pierre twice a year, and all of those pay-per-views were the highest rated pay-per-views of the entire year, when you got that rare chance to see the big star. The problem is a lot of wrestling fans and wrestling marks in the IWC don't care for Brock Lesnar because he left the WWE to go to UFC, and they still hold that against him, which I think is unfair, but it's true.
Yeah, it is. You know, I think that it's crazy with the title thing right now, but we can, the two of us sitting here chatting like this could just keep going on and on. So we'll save some of these thoughts for another rainy day as we do this again. But I think that you know, I don't know. We'll see. Was there any date released on CM Punk? Was there anything before we get off here? Was there anything released on CM Punk of a time, date, any kind of fight?
Uh, they're looking towards February, but no, absolutely not. They're not. They haven't solidified anything yet. The lead fighter for CM Punk was the Green Power Ranger. I, No, I'm not joking about that. Like
I know, I
the
saw
old
that.
show, the Power Rangers, Green Power Ranger. That was the lead. Now I heard something different today. So late February is what I'm hearing. Maybe early March. Other than that, I don't have anything. But before we get off the air, I just want to say Roman Reigns winning Superstar of the Year is a complete fucking joke.
Yeah. Well, there you go with that one. So, all right, guys, well, we're out of here. This is the BS Wrestling Report. Check us out on Twitter, BSW Report. Check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/BS Wrestling Report. Matt, where you at again on Twitter?
Matt Beaver, ESPN.
All right, and we'll holler at y'all later. You out of here? I'm out. See you, Matt.
Out.